All right, so yeah, now we need to basically finish the head and the hands. So we're just going to work on the head here on this video, and then I'll do another video for the hands. But I think that's going to be it for this week, and then we will continue on next week. Okay, so to do the head, it's going to be a lot of what we've already done. There's just going to be one thing that's kind of a little bit different. So I need to make a controller. We're just going to do FK for the head here. Controller for the head and the neck. So it's going to be the same as what we've done before. So create NURBS primitives circle, and it's going to create a circle down here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the attribute editor, and we're going to go to object display, drawing overrides, enable overrides, and then choose a color. I'm just going to go ahead and do red. All right, so it looks red. That's great. And I'm going to use W for remove. I'm going to hold V for point snap, and I'm going to point snap it to where the neck is. Now my dude is sort of in the way, so I'm going to turn him off. I have this little geo layer here. I think we did that before, so I'm going to hold V, point snap, boom, and I'm going to turn that back on real quick. Okay. And I am just going to go ahead and rotate this so it kind of makes sense, and then you might want to scale it. You might want to scale it depending on how your neck looks and what have you. That looks fine to me, so I'm going to call that good. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this, Control D, duplicate, W, and I'm going to turn off his thing, and V for point snap, and I'll point snap it to his head joint, which is this one. And I'm just going to scale this down a little bit. It's got to be enough that I can grab it. And rotate a little bit, just so it's kind of, actually it's got to go the other way. I don't know, it's whatever is easiest to grab. It honestly doesn't really matter. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll just do that for those two. Okay, so we have those. Let's go ahead and change the name. So this will be, what was my naming convention? I'm just gonna, actually let me grab the spine here. So it was chest controller is all I called it. Okay, so we'll just call it neck controller. So I'm gonna select this, and we'll just call it neck controller underscore CRV. And then we'll grab this one and call it head controller underscore CRV. Great. Select them both and do modify freeze transformations so they're zeroed out, and then do edit, delete by type, not all by type, delete by type, history. Good, so now they're nice and clean, and now we need to make them actually work, and it's going to be the same thing we did for these other ones, and I think this is the last of the FK stuff that we're doing, right? Or, yeah, I think so. Okay. Oh, no, we also got to do the jaw. The jaw will be basically the same, but I just want to make a different controller to that. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the guy again, and I'm going to have nothing selected. I'm going to hit Control G to make a null group, and we'll call this, we'll call it neck underscore null. I'm going to use the move tool. I'm going to hold V for point snap and drag it up to the neck. That looks acceptable. Control D, and I'm going to hold V and move that one up there. And this one will be called not neck null, but head null. Alright, so head null. Alright, let's open up the outliner, because I know you guys like the outliner better. So I'm just going to go to Windows, Outliner. It's right here. I'm just going to sneak it into this slot right there, so it's, there you go. So we have the neck null and the head null, and we have the neck controller and the head controller. Alright, so we have all our pieces. Now we just need to hook them up. Okay, so the neck null. What I want to do is select the neck joint, go to, make sure we're in rigging, go to constraint, and I'm going to do, select the neck joint, then hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac, and then select, oh, it's not showing, okay. So we're going to select this neck joint, and then Control and select the neck null, okay, group, and then do Constraint, Orient. I'm going to open up this neck null, and I'm going to delete that constraint, but now you will notice that, I have it on world. Hang on a second. Let me switch this back to object. Okay. You'll notice that's at the same orientation now as the that joint. Okay. So now I'm going to take that neck controller and hold Control to select or Command if you're on a Mac. This second, hit P, and now that neck controller is parented to my neck null, but notice it has a different orientation. So with it selected, just do modify Did I not name that well? It says CR. For some reason I didn't get the CRV. CRV. Sorry, that would just annoy me. Okay, so with it selected, just do modify freeze transformations. Freeze transformations. Now you can see it's the same orientation as its parent. And then with that selected, not the controller curve, Q, hold control. So you got this selected. I'm going to hold shift, click on this, and then go constraint and orient. And now when I grab this guy and I rotate it, it rotates that joint. We're going to do the same thing up here again. So select this joint. I'm going to set Q for the select tool. It's a little bit easier. So select the head joint and we'll hold control and select the head null. And then do constraint orient. That will shift this head in the same direction as the joint, but I'm going to delete the constraint that it made. Okay. So now it's not being controlled anymore, but it just shifted it. Now what I'm going to do is take the head controller, control, click on this, so head controller, then the null, and then P for parent. So now the head controller is underneath the head null. Select just the head controller, modify, freeze transformations, so now it's the same orientation as its parents. And then I'm going to select this head, and then hold shift, click on the joint, and do constraint orient. So now that will affect the head. Great. Okay. So that's good. Now we need to do the jaw. Jaw we're going to do a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my guy back on. And I'm just going to make a special controller for it just to make things a little bit easier. You know what? Let's not make it too special. It doesn't really matter. Let's just to create nerve circle. Okay. I'm going to pull it forward. I'm going to go to the attribute editor and make sure I'm on the shape node. Object display, drawing overrides, enable display. I'm just going to make this one yellow. Boop. Okay. I'm going to take it and then hit E for rotate. If I hold J, it'll be increment. I'm going to rotate it so it's, oops, so it's vertical. Wrong button. And I'm going to take it and let's go to a top view. Tap spacebar. And actually, before I do that, back here, I'm going to go ahead and scale it more like this. Okay. Now in this view, I'm going to right click, go to control vertex, and I'm going to grab this one and this one, pull them this way, grab this one and this one, and pull it that way too. Tap spacebar. Okay, let's go back into object mode. Good. I'm going to take this guy and I'm just going to bring it up over to his jaw, F to frame. And let's rotate it down a little bit, and it needs to be scaled quite a bit. Just so that you can see that it's his jaw, okay? Alright, and let's rename it. I'm going to go to the channel box, and just call it jaw controller underscore CRV. Glorious. I want to move the pivot to where the jaw joint is. So I'm going to hold D for shift pivot, and then V for point snap. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to turn off the geo. So D and V, so like dead vagabond. And I'm just going to pull it up here. Good. And now that's the pivot. Turn this back on. So now you can see when I rotate this, it rotates from here. Okay. And you can do that with any controller, but obviously I don't want to rotate from here because that's not where the jaw is. That'd be difficult to work with. Okay. Yay, I'm going to turn him back off. We're just going to do the same thing we did with the other one. So I have the controller curve now. I'm just going to go, when I have selected, do edit, delete by type history, just so it gets rid of that one node. Any little bit helps. Okay, nothing selected, hit Control G to make my null, and we'll call this the jaw underscore null. And then make sure you hit enter when you're done, and then I'm going to W for the move tool, V for point snap. I'm going to pull it up there, F to frame. Make sure that it is on the jaw joint. Goody. Okay. So now we just need to make sure that's oriented the same as the joint. Select the joint, control click or command click if you're on a Mac, the null group, constraint, orient. Now that's oriented. Expand it, delete that constraint. I don't actually want it. Take the jaw controller, and I'm just going to middle mouse button click and drag it down on top of this, but you just got to basically parent it to that null. With the jaw controller selected, modify for freeze transformations. So now it's got the same orientation. Good. So with that selected, then hold Shift. That's cute. Shift. Click on this. So jaw, then the joint, and then constraint, orient. And now when I go to rotate this, it will rotate that. Okay, so if this looks really great, by the way. Whoa! It needs some weight painting. We'll cover that later. Yep. Okay. Good. So we got a jaw selected, and we got this working. So it's gonna need some parenting and what have you. Actually, in fact, let's do that. No, we'll do that last. Okay. So the next thing to do are the eyeballs. My guy does have eyeballs. They're just like hidden in here. It's referenced. Okay. See, they're like, well, they're back a little bit too, for that matter. Let's move this forward. Okay. So he does have eyeballs. They're kind of hard to see. Oh, he looks like he's stoned. Let me move it down too. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw material on them just so we can freaking see them because they're kind of hard to see. So I'm just going to right click and assign a new material, and I'm just going to make a generic blend. There we go. So now I can see his dumb eyeballs. All right. So I got these eyeballs. I want to make them do things. I want to make them rotate and all that other jazz. All right. So this is what I need to do. I'm going to select select them. So mine are combined. I don't want them combined. So normally do mesh combine to combine two pieces of geometry. To do the opposite, just go to modeling and it's mesh separate. And now they'll be two separate chunks. I just want to check something real quick. Oh yeah, he has multiple pieces. Okay. All right. So good. What I want to do is I want to put a joint in the center of my eyeball. So the eyeball is probably not quite perfectly round. So what I want you to do is we want just the eyeball because it's going to be hard with all this other stuff like his face and the bones in the way. So select the eyeball, hit Shift I to isolate selected. Okay. Now if you look, you can see mine does not go all the way around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for where I think the center line is, which is right here. This is where the center would be if it did go all the way around. It's this one. So I'm going to right click, grab it, go to edge. I'm double click on the edge loop, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a cluster. So go to deform and cluster. Now we have a center point. Okay. So with that there, go to rigging, go to joint, or you can switch to rigging here, and then skeleton, create joints. And I'm going to hold V for point snap. I'm going to click on that, right where that C was. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a click off. See that C? I clicked right there. So now it's point snapped to that cluster. Okay. Go over here in the outliner, select a cluster, hit delete. We don't need that cluster. It was just there to get the position of that joint. All right, with nothing selected, hit Shift I to bring everything back. We now have our eye joint. I want you to click on this, then hold Shift, click on the head joint, not the jaw. Make sure it's the head, and hit P. That way, when I move this, right, it'll move the eyeball too. So I obviously need two of them. Let's rename this guy first. And we'll just call this I underscore L underscore JNT. And with this selected, we're just going to go ahead and go to skeleton, mirror joints, option box. And let me see, mirror across X, Y. Is that what I want? No, I want Y, Z. So Y, Z. And we actually will choose orientation, not behavior. And we're going to search for underscore L underscore and replace with underscore R underscore. Like this, and mirror. Good. Now we have both of them on both sides. That's fabuloso. And all we're going to do is select the, I'm going to hit 4 so I can see them. I'm going to select my eyeball geometry here. Ugh. I'm going to do it this way. Boink, and control click view off. Wait, is there more? How much freaking eyeball geometry do I need? Oh, that's the, okay. So I'm select the eyeball geometry, and then last select the joint and hit P. So when this joint rotates, it'll rotate my eyeball. Okay, so right, so it rotates the eyeball. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just gonna click and drag, which will grab both this and this, because there's actually two pieces in here. It's hard to grab both. And then I'm gonna hold Control, click and drag, because that only unselects, or Control click. That'll remove that. So now only I have just the two pieces of eyeball geometry. And then click on this and hit P. Okay, so now again, that will rotate it. Okay, and this is good too that we made these afterwards. Notice that they're not, Technicolor Dreamcoat here. They're just the one. But that's actually better because I didn't want it to be bound to his face. Okay. So we got the eyeball joints. And that's good too because it also helps the eyeball stay stuck to him. Okay. Good. So now what we need to do is actually make our eye controller. Now there's a couple different ways to go about doing this. If you actually look at your eyes, the way that they work is they do rotate, but your eyes don't turn so much as they flick, they twitch to a location. Whenever you look at stuff, you're always looking at, your eyes focus on something. They don't, watch someone read sometime, and what you're going to see is that their eyes don't move left to right. They do little jerky motions, because what it does is your eyes look to word, and then it makes a quick motion to another word, a quick motion to another word, because you have to focus on things. The eyes are based on that. They don't make slow motions. They do quick jerk motions, and they will focus on things. Even when you look at somebody or somebody's looking at you, you'll see their eyes will shift from your left eye to your right eye. And then if you're American, this is one of those things that actually separates Western cultures from Eastern cultures. This was like a weird article I read. But basically, they find that a lot of Asian cultures, when they're looking at people, there's three things they look at. They'll do eye, and then they'll do nose. Americans will do eye, and mouth, and then eye, and mouth. But typically, we'll look at eyes 2/3 to the mouth. I think it's 1/3 or something like that. But anyway, you'll notice that when they look at you or when you're looking at them, you're doing quick little shifts. You're not slowly moving your eyes. So we don't want to just animate these by just rotating them like this because it'll look kind of weird. Even if his head's moving or he's let's say he's talking to somebody, he's gesturing around, his eyes will stay focused on something. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an aim constraint. So I need to make the rig part first. So go to Create, Nerves Primitives, Circle, move this forward. All right. And we will just name this eye controller underscore CRV. Great. Let's go to the attribute editor, overrides and all that other jazz, and we'll make this guy yellow. Boop. Okay. And then I'm also going to take it and I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to hold J for increment, make sure it's straight. Looking good. And, okay, so we're going to call that good. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to duplicate it, Control D, and I'm going to scale it down, like this. And I'm going to move it over to this side, and I'm going to take this one's color and make it red. Okay? And we're going to rename this one eye controller underscore L CRV. Okay. Now what you do is take both of these, switch to the front view, and I want you to move them up to where the face is, F to frame. And I'm going to take the inside one first, and I'm going to scale it like this, so it's outside. Let's move it up a little bit more. Okay. And I'm going to scale it like this. Okay. And then I'm going to, I'm going to turn this off so I can get to it first. There we go. Turn this back on. And I'm going to move this guy down. And move this guy up, like so. And grab this one. And this one. And this one. This one. And this one. And scale these guys out. And let's scale it in a little bit, like that. All right, switch back to object mode. And we'll just scale it up a little bit more. Okay, so we're making like kind of a mask, you can kind of see. All right, and I'm just going to do modify freeze transformations, because you can see I had a bunch of dirty values. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to scale him down, and I'm going to put him right where that eye is. Okay. And that looks fine. And we'll just do modify freeze transformations. And actually, let's do this. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to do X-ray joints by clicking on this, or you go shading X-ray joints. And I'm going to hold V for point snap. And I'm going to point snap it here and here. I just want to get it as centered on the eyeballs as I can. All right. Then I'm going to Control D. I'm going to hold V for point snap, and point snap this one to the other eye joint. So basically I'm just trying to get into the center of both of those, okay? And we're going to rename this one the right one, okay? So I got a right and a left. Take both of them, modify freeze transformations, and then lastly, after you froze the transformation, select this and hit P. So now when you grab this one, it will move the other ones, right? But I can also grab one of these and move them individually. Okay. Spacebar, spacebar. Let's get over here, and let's take this and okay, that's not what I wanted. Grab the controller. Don't click and drag the whole thing, because then you're moving all of them. See, just the outside one. And let's get it a little bit in front of the character, like let's say this. That's probably acceptable. And modify freeze transformations. All right, so now let's make this work. What I want you to do is select this inside circle, and then shift select the the joint, not the geometry, and then go constraint, and you want to do aim, and undo that. Constraint, aim, option box. We need to turn on maintain offset, otherwise it'll shift. That's fine, and hit add. Select this one, shift select this one, and then you can hit G since it was the last thing we did. Boom. Now what you'll notice is when I move this, his eyeballs are in love with it. Because basically, and if I want to move them individually, I could do that as well by grabbing the inside ones. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So now we've made, oops, come on. We have made the eye controller. And this works good because watch, if I rotate my head, you can see his eyes will stick to it. That's the idea. Alright? Alright, so let's fix a little bit of this parenting. So what I want to do is I'm going to select this jaw. I'm going to hit the up arrow to get the null. Okay, so that I have that. And then next I'm going to select this head curve and hit P. So when I rotate this, the jaw moves with it. I'm going to select the head controller, hit the up arrow so I get its null, and then select the neck controller and hit P. So I move the neck, moves with it, and then let's go ahead and connect this neck to this chest here. So I'm going to select the neck, hit the up arrow so I get its null, and then select the chest controller and hit P. So now when I grab this, it will rotate the neck. Which I actually don't really like. So let's undo that. And let's do it like this instead. Hit the up arrow. We'll come back to it. Anyway, alright. So, that's looking fine. Let's put him back on here. So you should be able to see that now. Let's turn X-ray joints off, because now when I select this and I move it around, he can look at my controller here. Alright, and we have the head and all that other jazz working. So, yay. Alright, let's go ahead and save this. Control S, or Control Shift F, saves the next version. And we're going to call this good because we're at about 24 minutes almost. And then I am going to do the hands on the next one, which are super annoying. You're going to hate it.